Hi guys, welcome back to Fragments of a Simple Life, where every video I make is super simple. Today I'm back with my terrifying real life stories of haunted houses and scary mysteries. You can see by the little tabs on the top that we've already read some stories from this magazine, but I thought in honor of Halloween we have to do it at least one more time. I have my little book of sticky tabs here, the same ones that we used previously. That one is like a little I love you from my son. So obviously I won't be using that one. I keep it. I'm going to move it over here actually so I can open the magazine. And I'm just going to get started. A lot of these stories are historically based. I think mostly in the US, but don't quote me. It's separated into different sections. So there's hotel hauntings, there's houses of horror, paranormal places, eerie ghost towns, unsolved mysteries. I already read the paranormal pool. That's kind of like the introduction. I'm just gonna flip to, I guess, this page. Let's read about both of these places and then I can put a sticky tab on both of them. These are both very well known. We have the Conjuring House in Rhode Island to my left and the Amityville Horror House in Amityville, New York to my right. Let's start with the Conjuring House. The little blurb here says, in 2013, the story of the Rhode Island farmhouse was used as the basis for the hit movie The Conjuring, which spawned a film franchise that to date has grossed more than $2 billion at the box office. Built in 1736, this 14-room Cape Cod-style farmhouse in Burrillville, Rhode Island, I could be saying that wrong, known locally as the Farm on Round Top Road, was owned for most of its history by a family named Arnold. But it wasn't until the home was sold in 1970 that it began to earn a reputation as a house of horrors. Roger and Caroline Perrone moved in with their 5 daughters in January 1971 and lived in the home for nearly 10 years, all the while feeling as they were not the only occupants. The family reported smelling rotting flesh, that's disgusting, and feeling their beds levitate in the middle of the night. Oldest daughter, Andrea Perrone, who has written 3 books about the house, claims one of her sisters had been possessed by a spirit on one occasion. The Perrone family eventually sought the help of demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren. I don't like them. I don't know. I just don't like them. There's a lot of people who don't like them, who told them the house was haunted by the spirit of a witch who had once lived there. The property sold in May of 2022 for $1.525 million, 27% more than the $1.2 million asking price. Yikes. The house can be booked for day tours or overnight visits, during which the paranormal investigations are highly encouraged. That's why somebody bought it. They bought it so that they can make all their money back and then some, basically doing ghost tours or letting people do, spooky stuff in there. All right. Amityville Horror House. The little blurb says, The Amityville Horror, a book by Jan Anson recounting the Lutz's story, was published in 1977. A movie of the same name starring James Brolin and Margot Kidder came out 2 years later. The Dutch Colonial last sold in March of 2017 for $605,000. The address was changed to 108 Ocean Avenue. Crazy. It says, early in the morning of November 13th, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. gunned down his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters in their home at 112 Ocean Avenue. in Amityville, New York, on the southern shore of Long Island. 13 months later, after a jury convicted DeFeo on 6 counts of second-degree murder, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children from a previous marriage moved into the house, which the couple had purchased for a bargain price of $80,000. The Lutzes knew the place's history, so on the day they moved in, they had a priest bless the home. It didn't help. George claimed the priest felt a slap from an unseen hand and heard a voice telling him to get out. The family heard doors slamming, smelled foul odors, felt cold, and found drops of slime on the carpet. George later said he would wake in at 3:15 every morning, when DeFeo believed to have murdered his family. George also claimed that on one occasion Kathy had been physically transformed into an old woman. What? And that on another he had been pinned in his bed by an invisible force. The Lutzes abandoned the house after only 28 days, leaving all their belongings behind. Holy crapoli. I feel like I watched the version of the movie that has Ryan Reynolds in it, but I never saw the original from the 70s. Please let me know if you saw the one that was from the 70s, because I want to know. Okay, let's turn the page to another story. Ooh, we switched right to hotels. Okay, so we have the Stanley Hotel and Hotel Cornado. I'm going to go with Hotel Cornado or Del Cornado because I don't live that far away from San Diego. So let's read about San Diego, California. The little blurb says, in 1983, that's when I was born, a Secret Service agent guarding the Vice President George H.W. Bush was assigned to room 3519 and became spooked enough to call his superiors in the middle of the night to demand another room. Ooh, that's when you know it's bad. Someone who has like a gun and like, sorry, there's an airplane, guys. When you have someone who has a gun and like knows how to use it and they're like, get me in your room, please, I'm too creeped out. That's pretty bad. Okay, on November 24th, 1892, Thanksgiving Day, a 24-year-old woman from Los Angeles named Katie Morgan checked into the hotel alone and without luggage. She registered under the name Lottie Anderson Bernard and claimed to be from Detroit. She paid $3.80 a night to stay in room 302. It's been since changed to $33.27. 3 meals a day were included. Wow, those are the days, huh? $3.80 a night and all 3 meals were included. Holy moly. 4 nights later, she walked out to an exterior staircase and apparently shot herself in the right temple with a .44 caliber American Bulldog pistol that she purchased in San Diego the day before. The hotel's electrician found her body on the morning of November 29th, and the San Diego County coroner determined it was a self-inflicted wound. The reasons that brought Morgan to the Del Mar, a sweeping Victorian beachfront hotel built in 1888 and graced with red roofs and an exterior of pristine white wood, are murky. She was possibly distraught following a lover's quarrel or waiting for a man who never showed. Regardless, when she checked in, she never checked out. Guests and staff say they've seen the spirit of a beautiful dark-haired woman, and visitors staying in Morgan's old room on the 3rd floor have reported flickering lights, TVs that turn on and off untouched, and doors that open and close on their own. You know, it's going to be a pass for me. I don't think I would seek out her room on purpose. Just saying. Okay, let's find some more stories. How about the Hollywood Roosevelt in Los Angeles? I didn't pick it to be California again, it just is. Just saying. The little blurb says, the hotel was a magnet for movie stars. For example, child actor Shirley Temple took her first tap dancing lessons with Bill Bojangles Robinson on the tiled steps beyond the Roosevelt lobby, rehearsing for their pas de deux in 1935's The Little Colonel. Wow, look at this big building. This says another little blurb. I'll read that at the end because it might give it away, so I'll read this at the end. It says, the Hollywood Roosevelt was built with partial funding from actors Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford, as well as studio head Louis B. Mayer, and has been a cornerstone of the golden age of Hollywood almost since the day it opened in 1927. And then in parentheses it says, the Blossom Ballroom hosted the first Academy Awards in 1929. Cool. The 12-story Spanish colonial structure, which looms over Hollywood Boulevard, was a favorite of America's screen idols. Marilyn Monroe lived for a time in room 246 and also frequented the Roosevelt's Sin-Grill Cabernet. And Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, before they were married, often frequented a penthouse on the hotel's 12th floor. Ooh, before they were married? Just kidding, I don't know. Some of those old Hollywood icons still frequent the hotel. There have been reports of Monroe's ghost appearing in a full-length mirror that once belonged to her, which now hangs in a lower-level foyer. She's not the only celebrity still hanging around. Montgomery Clift, who died of a heart attack in 1966, stayed in room 928 for 3 months while filming 1953's From Here to Eternity. He was notorious at the Roosevelt because he would practice his trumpet and recite his lines out loud while walking the corridor outside his room. According to hotel security records, many guests have since called with noise complaints about the people in Clift's old room, but every time security guards have checked, they found the room empty. In 1996, the hotel celebrated what would have been the 53rd wedding anniversary of Gable and Lombard. She died in a plane crash in 1942 and he died in 1960, by holding a seance in the couple's old penthouse renamed the Gable-Lombard Suite in an attempt to summon their spirits. Lombard reportedly made an appearance decked out in a pink dress and diamond earrings. Isn't that very fancy? Okay, Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles. A week after John Belushi died of a drug overdose in Bungalow 3 in March 5th, 1982, fellow Saturday Night Live alum Al Franken stayed at the hotel and claimed Belushi's ghost visited him. Years later, a couple staying in Bungalow 3 noticed their 2-year-old son giggling to himself. He was laughing at the, quote, the funny man. One day, his mother was looking at a book of celebrity guests of the hotel. The boy pointed to Belushi's picture and said, the funny man. Oh, hell no. Absolutely not. Nope, nope, nope. Mm-mm. It's funny. This is a true story. My little brother passed away in 2014, and my daughter, who's almost 12, was only a year and a half old at the time. And I remember it was Thanksgiving after he passed, and that was his like favorite holiday. And so it was our first Thanksgiving, and my daughter was all decked out in a really pretty, like brown and yellow, like kind of like sunflower dress, very stylish for Thanksgiving. And I had a full-length mirror hanging in my bedroom on a wall, and I went over to my bedroom because that's where she was, and she was laughing and giggling and like holding out her dress almost like she was showing it to someone, and like pointing in the mirror, and she was like having a full-on, because she's only a year and a half old, she was having a full-on babbling conversation with someone who was not there. And I was like, okay, she's either playing with herself in the mirror like another baby, or maybe she's talking to my brother saying happy Thanksgiving. I don't know. It was really, really weird. I always thought it was my brother. Let's see. Eerie ghost towns. Ooh, paranormal places. Let's do this one. This says, the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, ceased operations in 1990 and today brands itself as one of the most haunted prisons in the U.S. The facility may look familiar to moviegoers. It was used in the location for 1994's Shawshank Redemption. Oh, it is Shawshank. Ooh, I wonder if the actors have ghost stories. I bet they do. Okay, let's just do the first one. Paranormal Places. St. Louis Cemetery number 1. I feel like I've read about this before in a different magazine, maybe last year. Okay, the little blurb up top says, the spirit of Marie Laveau, I don't know if I'm saying that right, isn't the only one said to be haunting St. Louis Cemetery number 1. Visitors have reported, or is it St. Louis? I'm sorry, I don't know if it's Louis or Louis. I digress. Reported seeing the ghost of a sailor who wanders among the tombs and another male apparition who's been taking flowers from other grave sites. Oh, that's not good. Leave people's flowers alone, right? Shame on you, ghosty. Okay, it says, the oldest cemetery in New Orleans dates back to 1789, when, because of concerns about the spread of disease, it was established outside the city's fortifications. Burials there initially were below ground, but the constant threat of flooding and a notorious high water table prompted the local government to stipulate in 1803 that all interments had to be above ground. Among the maze-like cemetery's defining features were its oven vaults, ew, that's what they were called, which are walls of graves stacked one on top of the other like drawers in a filing cabinet. The lower portions of the mausoleum's bottom rows are no longer visible because New Orleans is slowly sinking. The area actually sits a few feet below sea level. Yikes. Among the notable grave sites in St. Louis, or Louis, Cemetery number 1 are the tombs of both the first mayor of New Orleans as well as the city's first African-American mayor, Ernest Morial. Another crypt safeguards the remains of Homer Plessy, who was the plaintiff in the milestone 1896 Supreme Court decision that upheld the constitutionality of segregation based on the principle of separate but equal. That's interesting. There's also a famous grave that is so far still unoccupied. In 2010, actor Nicolas Cage, then 46, purchased a white 9-foot pyramid in the cemetery for his future resting place. Okay. Blank and featureless, save for the Latin inscription Omnia ab uno, meaning everything from one, the enigmatic mausoleum has become a popular stop on tours of the graveyard. Isn't that weird? People are like, let's go see Nicolas Cage's future grave site, but he's not dead. I don't know, that's really weird to me. Perhaps the most famous permanent residence of St. Louis Cemetery number 1 is Marie Laveau, who, when she died at the age of 80 in 1881, was reputed to be the voodoo queen of New Orleans. As a free woman of color, Laveau was a hairdresser and a nurse who was renowned not only for her wisdom, but also her skill at treating physical ailments with herbal remedies. That's interesting. Interesting. Huh. The the memorial in her hometown newspaper made no mention of voodoo, though there's a plaque on her tomb touting her connections to black magic and the occult. According to legend, her ghost will grant wishes made by believers who, in violation of the law, I've heard this before, yeah, mark her tomb with 3 X's. Yes, I have heard of this. Visitors have reported all manner of superstitious or supernatural experiences there, including mysterious touches, sudden illnesses, and voices coming from inside the tomb. No thank you. I thought I read in a different magazine that it's like walled off now or gated or something because people would like deface it too often, Or maybe they used to paint over the X's and then they stopped because it was just too much work. I heard something like that. I don't remember. Oh, wow. How do you even say this word, you guys? Iroquois Theater? It says the building once known as the Iroquois Theater is said to be haunted by the souls of patrons who died in a horrific fire that ravaged the interior in 1903. People walking down the alley where many felt or fell to their deaths have been reported feeling hands on their shoulders or heard their names whispered. This is in Chicago. It says on December 30th, 1903, a malfunctioning spotlight started a fire on stage at Chicago's 5-week-old theater. It says, as flames spread, many in the crowd of 1,700 bolted to the exits. This is like my worst fear. Like if I go to a show or a concert, this is my worst fear. It says the exits were not marked and most were obscured by curtains. Yikes. Patrons in balconies were trapped by metal accordion gates, which had been locked to prevent people sneaking downstairs for better seats. As panic grew, someone backstage opened a door to the outside. The resulting backdraft sent a ball of flame into the theater. The explosion was powerful enough to blow open an exit door. People in the balcony found fire escapes, but the stairs weren't finished and there's no ladders to the ground. 120 people fell to their deaths in the alley below. More than 600 died in 30 minutes. The worst theater disaster in U.S. history. The Iroquois, I think that's how you say it, but I'm not sure, was replaced in 1926 by the Oriental Theater, which showed both movies and live acts. In 1996, it became exclusively a live theater, and 23 years later was renamed the Nederlander. Actors and crew members have reported seeing shadow figures moving around. People have seen apparitions on the back stairs dressed in old-fashioned clothes. And actress Anna Gasteyer, who was in a production of Wicked in 2005 and 2006, claimed to see the ghost of a mother and her children in the backstage hall. That's so depressing. What a horrible story. I don't know why, but this one's like bothering me the most. Sometimes I want to do like a deeper dive on these, but I don't know if you guys would be interested in that, especially if it's something that I already read about. Ooh, let's do this one. Ohio State Reformatory. Okay, the blurb says up here, the Ohio State Reformatory at Mansfield, Ohio, boasts a beautiful Romanesque exterior, but inside lurks something far spookier. Visitors to the faculty have reported seeing shadow figures, hearing disembodied voices, and unexplained footsteps, and being grabbed. That's too many things. Look at this old picture. This looks like, what is his name? Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. Doesn't that look like the room that they like held him in? Weird. Okay, the world knows the Gothic exterior of this massive stone building with its rooftop spires and high arching windows from the classic 1994 film The Shawshank Redemption, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, when it was shot there 3 years after the place had closed its doors. Opened in 1896, it was intended for delinquent young men, ages 14 to 28, who were first-time non-violent offenders. But as the years wore on, it became less of a reformatory and more of a maximum security prison. The faculty ceased operations in 1990 due to overcrowding, inadequate outdated facilities, notably its tiny cells, and inhumane conditions. wonder if it was like falling apart inside. It's so beautiful on the outside. The plan was to tear the structure down, but that was unworkable. Some walls were 25 feet tall and 6 feet thick at the base, up to a quarter of a mile long. Primarily thanks to Shawshank, the Reformatory has become a tourist attraction and welcomes 120,000 visitors a year, allowing millions to become acquainted with the place's ties to the paranormal. 150,000 inmates pass through this prison in its 94 years of operation, and the ghosts of several still apparently roam the halls, as does the spirits of a guard who jabs visitors with his nightstick. Rude and inappropriate. Voices and footsteps have been heard on the third floor of the administration building, and the facility offers a host of paranormal tour options, including one for professional ghost hunters. I'm pretty sure I've probably seen people ghost hunt the Ohio State Reformatory. Okay, I'm going to go back to the magazine beginning and try to find one more story. Let's see. Ooh. Ooh, this house looks creepy as hell, you guys. Okay, let's do this. It says get the full story of the Harlo burn house on House Beautiful's Dark House podcast. So you can like scan this right here if you guys want. I'll hold it nice and still. You can pause, scan it with your phone, and go listen to the podcast. But in the meantime, I'm going to read about it. This is also in Los Angeles. I didn't do it on purpose. It says clockwise from top. It says producer Paul Byrne with actor Jean Harlo. This one down here says reporters wait outside the Harlo Byrne house for news after Byrne was found dead of an apparent suicide by household staff in 1932. And over here it says authorities load the producer's body into an ambulance. So that's what is happening. Okay, creepy. High in the hills above Los Angeles, nestled in the trees of Benedict Canyon, sits a 1930 craftsman-style house that was once home to one of Hollywood's biggest stars. From the outside, the stone stairway, honeycomb glass windows, and towering turret make the house look as if it was plucked from a fairy tale. It looks creepy to me, but whatever. But the true story of 9820 Easton Drive is exactly the opposite. Commonly referred to as the Harlo Byrne House, the home gets its name from the original owners, actor Jean Harlo and her husband, movie producer Paul Byrne. The couple was married for just 2 months before tragedy struck. On September 5th, 1932, Byrne was found dead with a single gunshot wound to the head and a .38 caliber revolver in his hand. His body was discovered by house staff who, rather than call the police, immediately called the executives at MGM, the studio where Byrne worked. Though his death was ruled suicide by police, some believe he was murdered, that the studio covered it up to save Harlo's career. Whatever the case, Byrne wouldn't be the last owner of the home to suffer an untimely death. In 1963, the house was sold to celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring, who a year later began dating aspiring actress Sharon Tate. This story might sound familiar now. The couple eventually split, but they remained friends until they were brutally murdered August 9th, 1969, by members of who? The Manson family cult. Sebring, along with coffee heiress Abigail Folger and her boyfriend, screenwriter, I can't say his name. It's Kowalski or something like that. Sorry, I've never been able to understand his name. They've been staying with Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, at the 150 Saleo Drive home she and her husband, Roman Polanski, were renting. This is so sad. And while the horrific events of that night did not take place at the Harlo burn house, an alleged interview with Tate from the year before her death suggests a chilling connection. In 1970, Fate magazine published the article Sharon Tate's Preview of Murder, which included a 1960 interview between Tate and journalist Dick Kleiner. In it, Tate recalls an eerie encounter that happened while she was staying at the Sebring house. According to the story, Tate woke up in the middle of the night and saw a man in her bedroom who resembled Byrne. Frightened, she ran out of the room, down the stairs, where she saw a figure tied to a staircase with his or her throat slashed. The article speculates that the dream was actually a premonition predicting her and Sebring's fate, though Tate's loved ones deny she ever had such premonition. The article has led many to believe that perhaps the ghost of Byrne returned to the home to warn Tate. Although the current owner who bought the house from Sebring's parents in 1970 says he and his wife have never had any paranormal experiences while living there, the creepy coincidences are impossible to ignore. In addition to the unexpected deaths of Byrne and Sebring, their partners Harlo and Tate, two actresses who captivated Hollywood, both died at only 26 years old. Dang, that's crazy. Okay, you guys, that concludes our video today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me read about some haunted houses and scary mysteries. This will probably be the last time I read this magazine from now until Halloween, because Halloween is coming up very quickly. But please like, comment, and subscribe, because I will have a little bit of Thanksgiving and, of course, Christmas content coming up. And probably at least one more Halloween type video before actual Halloween. I appreciate every single one of you for giving my little channel a chance, and I'll see you next time. Bye.